Hi, this is Dr. Brill. This podcast is based on a sponsored Facebook Live event earlier this month by Neurolens. Now, Neurolenses are the first and only prescription lenses that add a contoured prism to bring the eyes into alignment. Contoured prism has been shown in studies to relieve headaches, neck and shoulder pain, and eye strain that many patients experience when using digital devices, reading, or doing detail work. Learn a lot more about this independent company called Neurolens and the device they use, as well as their lenses. Stay tuned for Neurolens coming up. Welcome to Entrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes. I'm Dr. Raymond Brill with my co-host,
Harry Brill, and we're here to bring you stories about Wizards of Eyes. Yes, what is a wizard, Dr. Brill?
Well, these are folks that you may have heard about, may not have heard about. These are people who are actually very successful in doing what they do in all aspects of eye care.
We're not talking to self-proclaimed industry geniuses, experts, masters, or gurus, because we're talking to Wizards of Eyes that make it happen each and every day.
They are out there working every day in the labs, on the road, in the practices, in surgery suites, making lenses, making frames.
Yes, we want to hear these back-of-the-house stories about innovation, entrepreneurship, and make you feel excited to do what you do.
We want you to be energized about the whole eye care field. And this is not your big optical program. This is done out of the passion of our hearts.
Please go ahead and subscribe to Entrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or your favorite app. Also, visit entrepreneur.com where you'll find our latest blogs and special video content. That's www.eyetreepreneur.com.
All right, so it's working now. We are live. Sorry for all the technical difficulties here. I think artificial intelligence and Amazon Alexa and all those Google Echo are taking over the world. And Neurolenses is also taking over the lens market with their new technology. So thanks everyone for hanging in there. Sorry we're about 30 minutes late, but I promise we're generally timely. So I want to welcome everyone to the live Facebook feed here. We have Aric Plumley. He's the Chief Technology Officer of Neurolenses. And we also have the great Dr. Timothy Freeze. He is a private practice optometrist in Ohio with a few practices. So welcome on.
Thanks, Barry. Glad to be here. Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah.
You got a good no-shave-vember going there.
Hey, this is my usual. So by the end of the month, you'll wait to see what it looks like.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, be good.
Well, we're happy to have an independent company who's bringing independent thought and independent lenses to the profession. And that's what Entrepreneur is all about. We want to learn what you're doing.
So, so we're going to wait just a few minutes for everyone to get on board. We really delayed this for all the West Coast people. I mean, let's be honest, right?
And there's a lot of people who are confused about Eastern time or Central Standard Time. So this is...
So is everyone in like LA traffic? Do they just sit on their phones and, scroll Instagram and all this traffic? What are you Californians doing?
Anymore, the Tesla drivers just fall asleep, it turns out. There's lots of videos of the Tesla guys just sleeping in their cars while they're going down the freeway.
It makes them jiggle their hands, though, doesn't it, on the steering wheel or not?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they do it, but there's plenty of videos out there on the news.
It actually does. I have a Model 3, so I used the autopilot all the way home today for an hour. But yeah, you got to hold the wheel. So
if you don't, it punishes you. That never again.
You can't use it for the rest of the drive until you.
Right. It punishes you.
It does.
So the reason we're having Neurolenses on is at Entrepreneur, we're a big supporter of independence. And as everyone knows here, the market's changing and there's lots of acquisitions. So we find that the best way to give power to the independents is supporting the independents. And Neurolens didn't just pop up overnight. You guys have been working on a product for more than a few years, and now you're fully in the market. I know you're gaining accounts readily. So we're here to learn about, what Neurolens does differently than other lens manufacturers. And I don't even know if you call yourself a lens manufacturer. You might have another terminology. So we're going to hand it over to Aric, the Chief Technology Officer. Tell us kind of how you got your background in engineering and business. I know, I think everyone has an MBA on here except me. So Aric, you have an MBA?
I certainly do. I do.
Okay, and Dr. Freeze, I think you have one.
I do. Yep.
And
I've got one.
Okay,
So, hey.
I'm just the lame duck here.
You're too young,
Doing his
Barry.
own thing, right? So,
Yeah.
actually, it's interesting about Neurolens is that people do ask us, like, are you an equipment manufacturer? Are you a lens manufacturer? What is it you're selling? And really, what we're selling are outcomes for patients. So we're really focused on providing outcomes for patients. That's what's exciting for me. That's what gets me up every day coming to work. I was an engineer for 15 years developing stuff for the defense industry or semiconductor chips or other consumer products. And I actually was tired of engineering. I quit. Went back to school, got my MBA, as you mentioned, and I was going to do something else. While I was getting my MBA, I had the opportunity to work in healthcare doing the Stellaris phacoemulsification system for cataract surgery for Bausch and Lomb. And I really enjoyed that. And when I graduated in 2008, there was pretty much only engineering jobs. I worked then. I got hired by a company called WaveTech Vision. I quit. Went back. And WaveTech Vision Systems, we developed the interoperative aberrometer to help improve outcomes for cataract surgery. Did that for about 7 years, got purchased by Alcon, and then got approached by Eyebrain Medical, who makes the Neurolenses here, to develop this equipment. And I think what's so exciting about what we do here is the outcomes. Cataract surgery was nice. I knew that I helped the patient see another line on the Snellen chart. But what's nice about here is we get patients calling in crying, saying that I've had headaches or I've had these symptoms for 30 years. And you now have taken care of that issue. And it's super exciting. It's why I get up every day, and it's what I enjoy about what we do.
Great. Well, I want to welcome some people to the podcast here. We have our, Alan Desjardins. He has been here at every single live event, so we want to thank you for being on. We also have Canella. You were on the last one. We appreciate you being here. Steve Kidwell, repping Kansas City. Welcome in. He's a good guy. So
Got a lot of equipment from Cosmo.
yeah, we put his kids through college. And Matthew Smith, he's a upcoming optician, just opened his own shop. So we're glad you're on here.
Sorry for the delay, everyone. All right, so let's make this enjoyable for everyone. Tell us, what is Neurolens? And really, let's take the mystique out of it. Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So Neurolens, so basically we have, there's two kind of pieces or multiple pieces to the system. So step one of the process is we identify patients that are suffering from symptoms. A lot of the symptoms are traditionally called asthenopia. So eye strain, headache, neck strain, and those sorts of symptoms. We've since learned that these symptoms are related to how your eyes are working together. So we call it trigeminal dysphoria because it's the stimulation of the trigeminal nerve as related to how your eyes align. So we have measurement equipment that measures eye alignment, and then we have lenses that provide a contoured prism. So what's unique about our lenses is that they can provide a different amount of horizontal prism in the distance region than the near region. So a contoured prism is something that you can get with our lenses that you can't get. And as I mentioned, we track outcomes. So we're constantly surveying our patients after treatment to understand best how we've affected their symptoms. And we use that in our own tracking, and we develop algorithms to help give guidance to doctors on how to best prescribe the lenses to provide the best opportunity for a good outcome.
Okay, so I want to make sure, because there's a lot of optometrists on here. dysphoria has nothing to do with aphoria.
Well, yeah, dysphoria, actually, the meaning of the word is like a disorganization or something like that. We think it's a nice way to coin the phrase in that aphorias relate to eye misalignment as well.
Right.
And aphoria is actually a portion of the measurement device. So our measurement device takes into account a dissociated aphoria as well as some associated phoric measurements, as well as looking at how the central and peripheral visual systems work together. So it's a combination of measurements, and that misalignment is what is found to cause the patient.
So we really want euphoria then, right?
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Take the dysphoria, turn it into euphoria.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Dr. Freeze, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're in private practice in Ohio. How long have you been practicing? You know, why did you get into eye care? I'm sure you woke up as an 8-year-old and you just said, you know what, I'm going to be an eye doctor, and right?
Yeah, man, it was actually even earlier than that, to be honest.
Okay.
I got my first eye exam when I was 4, and I needed glasses. And my mom still tells the story that I told her that day that I wanted to be an eye doctor when I grew up. I didn't specify optometrist, but I learned later that that was the way to go. So that's all I've ever wanted to do my whole life. So I never knew of anything else that I wanted to do or become. And I'm still happy that I went down that road. It's still the best career choice, you know, that I feel like I could have ever
And you
made.
got in as a hyperope. You got in as a hyperope. You didn't have to be a myope, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually I have $3 of SIL. So
Oh, nice.
that's what caught me. That's what caught me at 4. So it was the astigmatism that got me there. So,
Without
yeah,
astigmatism, we wouldn't have optometry. So let's not diss it too badly.
that's right. It's right. I love my vision the way it is. So I wouldn't change it. It got me to where I am today. So, so I went to Ohio State for optometry school and for undergrad. I've been in practice for 15 years. I've done a little bit of everything in optometry, as it seems like a lot of us have. I've practiced commercial, nursing home. I've bought and sold several practices. I currently own a 3-practice location in the Columbus, Ohio area. I went back and got my MBA a year or 2 ago. And then I'm actually just now finishing my master's in public health as well, because I'm pretty active with legislative affairs in Ohio. I sit on the Ohio Optometric Association Board of Trustees, and I chair our political action committee as well. So I'm pretty involved and love the legislative affairs side of things. So I do a lot of activity in policy and those type of things. So I also teach the business curriculum at the Ohio State College of Optometry.
Oh, wow.
So I teach the practice management business stuff there as well. So business is near and dear to my heart. And
So you created the 8-day week, huh?
yeah, I tell you, people always joke they don't know how I sleep, and I don't know how I do either. I have a 3.5-year-old and a 5-year-old. So if I do
my.
get to sleep, they usually are waking me up anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Well, wonderful. So we have more people joining us. So this is pretty exciting. I just want to let everyone know the good folks at Neurolens are going to be giving away 2 Amazon gift cards for $50 during this live feed. So stay in there. Everyone can get their favorite turkey baster or whatever else you like. So
Your Huawei phone.
your Huawei phone, so the Chinese can catch us. So just want to give a shout out to a few people. Who do we have on the feed here? We got Tina with IoT. Hello, Tina. We love you.
And Elaine wants to know about Tokai. So Elaine is our international expert about everything from all over the world here. So
I'm sure we'll
we'll get
there.
into that probably, right?
So let's go really systematically through what Neurolens is. So you guys have a testing device, you have spectacle lenses, you have training, onboarding. So you guys are a pretty much full-scale company that is going to help practices thrive. So walk us through what your product is and what it aims to do in the market.
Maybe like a Shark Tank presentation.
Yeah. 60 seconds rundown.
Okay.
Okay,
Take longer.
so yeah, 60-second rundown. So we have a lot of patients suffering. Vision Council came out and said 65% of patients walking into optometry practices are suffering from symptoms. We did our own analysis, and we had a little more strict criteria, and we had 13,000 patients. We saw 56% of them were symptomatic enough to want to pay to have their problem solved. So we said, wow, if there's this many people suffering that bad, and we have a solution, let's figure out how we can get this into optometry practices. So we have a measurement device that helps measure patients' misalignment. It's documented throughout history in numerous studies that misalignment is associated with the symptoms. We have a unique and novel lens that provides contoured prism, which contoured prism is a different amount of horizontal prism in the distance region than a near region. You can think about the contour prism kind of like you would a progressive lens, in that it provides the change in alignment throughout the lens so that we can give the proper correction at both distance and near. And then we follow up and make sure that we solve their symptoms. So that's in a nutshell what we do.
So let me ask for the average optometrist out there. So are you saying all the divergences and phorias and fixation disparity measurements we learned back in school, we didn't really need to do that? We just need to have the device?
So I think,
or can somebody get to the same answer in the traditional manner, a la optometric extension program, OEP? For the older guys?
I mean, I think that, similar to how the evolution of all medical devices is, do you still use only a visual field, or you do OCT? I mean, it's a different level of diagnostic. And so it does take into account all of those other aspects of misalignment. And we always encourage doctors to still do what they would do in the chair, just to verify that the measurements are in line with the rest of the pathology of the patient. But yeah, in essence, the measurement device was developed because we found if I gave the same patient to 10 different practitioners and asked about their eye misalignment, I get 10 different answers. So we had to have a way that removed that variability so that we could have a good understanding of how patients' eyes work together so that we could offer the correct treatment for them.
Now, ophthalmologists always contend that, well, there's a lot of one-eyed patients that don't have any problems. So can you do this on a one-eyed patient?
Well, you actually make my point for me, doctor. So of course, if you're treating a binocular issue with prism, if they have one eye, they're probably not going to have those problems. And a matter of fact, early on when we had our headache center in Sioux Falls, a patient from New York would call up and complain of chronic migraines. And we wouldn't have them fly out to get measured on the device. We'd ask them to wear a patch over one eye for a weekend and ask them if their problems went away. And if they did, we were confident that was a problem to solve. Luckily, I would say probably 95, 98% of your patients are coming in with two eyes. So I think we can help them.
How about amblyopes or strabismics? Can they benefit? Can they benefit from this?
Anecdotally, I've seen some success, but in general, when patients are suppressing a significant amount of time, it's probably less of an ideal solution. I don't know, Dr. Fries, you might have more clinical experience with treating those sorts of patients.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, Aric. It's anecdotally, I would say that, I typically will lead the amblyopes into a sort of a different direction, like you said, with, testing suppression. And, I think I've had two amblyopes that we've done with Neurolenses, and they both have done very well, but they were very mild amblyopes, that they were not definitely too deep of an amblyope. So I've seen success with it, but it's not my first line of thinking when I have an amblyope come into the practice.
So when you're talking about contoured prism, what are we trying to alleviate? Is it things like headaches and neck pain and eye strain? Put it in kind of layman's terms for people that might not be familiar with what that prism is actually trying to achieve.
Do you want to go through this, Dr. Fries?
Yeah, sure. Neurolens has done an amazing job because they've actually developed a really amazing questionnaire that we give to all of our patients. And it basically, Perry, lists a lot of the things that you just mentioned as far as, we ask them about headaches, neck pain, stiffness, discomfort at the computer, tired eyes, dry eyes, dizziness, which is one that I think we haven't brought up yet in this conversation, and light sensitivity. So it really, they rank, the patients rank those on a scale of 1 to 5. How significant are they in their life? And then we sort of take those rankings and then determine if they are a qualifier for a measurement on the measurement device. So really, it's pretty easy for the patient. We just give them that questionnaire. It's very simple. Does not take much time. I know as optometrists, we all kind of cringe when we hear the word questionnaire, maybe, and more stuff for the front desk to do. But this is really quick and easy, and it's amazing when you're able to provide something that's life changing to patients. How well it actually works. So. that's sort of where we start with those symptoms right there, and try to keep it simple and have them rank them on 1 to 5, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I want to get to some of the comments that people are making. So, Dr. Brill, you want to read the one from Scott Balistreri, who owns Badass Optical in California. It's a wholesale laboratory.
Which one do you want me to read?
Let's talk about the isoconic one here.
Okay. Given amblyopia, or I'm assuming you can't do this with an isoconic lens for people with anisoconia.
Right. I mean, anisoconia is a little bit different, a little bit different animal than eye alignment, right? I mean, you could have 2 patients that are both, -2 in each eye that are not anisoconia, but hey, they're measuring, 2XO at distance and 6XO at near. And so they need, and they're having a lot of symptoms when they're working on the computer and things like that. So our lenses are primarily dealing with how your eyes point at stuff, right? So you would correct that problem.
I think maybe what he's trying to say, if I could read Scott's mind here, is that could you create an isoconic lens and also do the contoured prism?
I mean, we could certainly provide different power in each lens, but if you're trying to compare it to like the Shaw lens, and I'm not completely familiar with the Shaw lens. I'm not completely familiar.
Well, generally speaking, you would have to, generally what you'd have to do is alter the front curve and the thickness in some way to equalize the magnification.
Yeah.
So
we are not.
Maybe that's combining too many things, huh?
Yeah, that's not our wheelhouse for right now at all.
Okay, so you can't do it in a
we're after the
double D trifocal. You can't do it in a double D trifocal polarized.
Yeah.
Color vision. I mean,
maybe a yellow shooting tent. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm sure
you can do that.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say, I think in the spring, right?
Yeah, in the spring. Yeah, we're always being asked.
In our next iteration. Okay.
All right. So let's get back to some of the main topics. First, I want to engage with the audience here. Who listening has actually is wearing a Neurolens? So I want everybody to participate. Type a yes or a no.
And do you want to do some $50 giveaways?
And we'll do that maybe in a few minutes here. So I want to get back to you, Dr. Fries.
Yeah.
Why did you buy the Neurolens system, and why are you an early adopter? I mean, out of all the toys you could have bought at Vision Expo, I mean, you could have got the latest Edger, you could have got a IPL machine, and all sorts of other toys. Why Neurolens?
Yeah, I do love my toys, so that's definitely was a big part of it. So, I realized that there was sort of a niche in our practice, or I guess a missing a part of our practice that was just I couldn't provide a great treatment for. I was having a lot of patients who maybe sort of had these symptoms that we're now calling trigeminal dysphoria. But I noticed I was having a lot of them that had very low prescriptions. They were nearly emmetropic, but their symptoms way outweighed their refractive error. And I said, there just has to be something else going on here. And I ran into Neurolens a couple of years ago at a Vision Expo, and I said, boy, that just really makes a lot of sense. So then I was at an eye doc meeting, and they partnered with us on that. And I had the device ran on myself and got some more detail from some of the people at the company. And really, it just made a lot of sense. So I decided we're going to do it. I just felt I had enough patients that would be willing to do this. And then once I saw the profitability model that was there for us as private practitioners, the ability to differentiate ourselves in private practice, and the ability to have a product that was not covered with managed care, was a great opportunity for us, and something that we would be able to offer without, there wouldn't be somebody around the corner maybe doing the same thing. So it really just allowed us to differentiate ourselves and be able to have something to offer to patients that was life-changing for them. So
are you wearing a Neurolens yourself, or?
Well, I actually don't. So when I test on the Neurolens device, I am right at 0. So I do not qualify per se. And
you're in euphoria right now still.
Yeah, I still am. I'm in my first progressive though, so I have jumped into that. But I can tell you this. So my office manager has been in optical for 25 years. And she has high SIL, high plus in a progressive since she was 19 years old. Has never had, her vision just has never felt right. She's never thought that she could see good. Was tested her on the machine. She was a perfect candidate for a Neurolens, got the lenses, and she basically, one of those people that almost started crying right away. She's like, I've never seen this good in my entire life. And it's just really even changed her life. And she's been in the business for basically her whole adult life. So she is a believer and is aware, and has been a huge success for our practice to have someone in the dispensary that's thinks so highly of the product and can really speak from a personal, her personal experience and go through it that way.
So can we get into the optics a little bit here? So it seems to me you're putting base in prism in some way. I mean, what if you have someone who's esophoric or really is not going to take a base in prism? Is this mainly for people who have exophoria or exotropia or intermittent?
No, not at all. So basically,
Okay.
it's for a patient that has I call it an insufficient ACA. So their eyes don't naturally turn in enough. So this could be an esophoric patient that maybe needs base in the distance and less base in, or I'm sorry, base out in the distance and less base out at near, right? So that would be another profile of patient. You'll see about half of the patients that need this are typically your slight exophoria at distance and more exophoric at near. That's your typical patient. But there's a lot of other profiles. Somebody could be ESO at distance and exo at near. They're another good candidate, because what other lens could provide you that difference?
Now, our vision therapy colleagues will say, look, I could train that. So how do you address the vision therapy part of this? I think that some of our colleagues, prism is like a bad word.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there are, certainly, vision, we have nothing negative to say about vision therapy. We have a lot of vision therapists that are using our lenses in coordination with their therapy. There's also patients that are non-compliant to vision therapy. They're just not going to do the therapy, and they're good candidates as well. And this is an option for them as well as patients who don't respond to vision therapy. And this is another tool in the tool belt. This is just one more thing that optometrists have to help patients.
Yeah. So is there additional training program that you offer? Just say, okay, we got you the neural lenses. Now we're going to have you do convergence exercises, anything like that?
I think Dr. Freeze wanted to add.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I was going to add the same thing that for us, it is, a lot of times when you bring up vision therapy, and adults with busy lives, my experience, even if you prescribe therapy, they're not going to do it. They want a quick fix. They want something that's going to work now. And it's going to be, without for them having to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work at their end and time. And the Neurolens has been perfect for us in those situations. So, Aric, I'll let you answer the other question there.
So you were saying that, yeah, so we have one vision, and this is in our wheelhouse, but I know we have one vision therapy group that she did a study where she was using the Neurolenses in coordination with the vision therapy exercises, and she saw a reduction in the amount of time to get to her desired endpoint by 50%. So it shortens the time to the patient gets relief, but I would defer to a vision therapy person that has the equipment to really answer too detailed.
So for someone who's asymptomatic, it's a everyday part of life where they have these symptoms. How do you address those people who think, if I've always lived with it and I'm okay with it, why should they actually try a new lens? Why don't they just continue with the same old path? How do you bring that up with them? Because I would assume that happens every day.
My philosophy with them would be, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Number one point in candidacy for a patient is they would be symptomatic, and over half of the patients walking into optometric practices are symptomatic. So you don't really, this isn't something you don't push a solution on. If I go to the auto mechanic and he tries to get me to change my brakes and my brakes are fine, that's not a good solution for me. But if I come in and my brakes are squealing, then that's when I look at the brakes and fix them.
And that's the same. That's exact same philosophy that we've taken in our practices. you know, if you're asymptomatic, you're just not a candidate, because there's not something there that I feel like if a regular lens is solving your problem, then you don't need this product. I'm not going to just sell a lens to sell a lens.
Can you do it in single fit? Is it available in single vision also, or must it be a PAL?
No, it's a single vision, progressive, and a computer progressive as well.
Okay. So I want to get to
about that is that the single visions, 20% of our single visions have no refractive power at all in them. They're all alignment. So we have single vision and progressives, but a good portion are maybe patients wearing them over their contacts or patients that are post LASIK that are symptomatic.
And do you do like a blue tack or anything else with that, or?
So all of our lenses come standard with a blue imbibe material. It's similar to a blue tack, except for it doesn't have that champagne hue. We call it Neuroclear, so it's a nice clear lens.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do something fun. How does giving away a gift card sound, Aric?
Okay, sounds good. So I'll ask a question.
Okay.
And then whoever comes up with the answer to the question first. So what makes the Neurolens different from standard prism?
So we're going to give everybody a minute or two to answer this, and why don't you repeat it for us as well?
Yeah. So the question is, what makes Neurolens different from standard prism? So what's novel about the Neurolens?
First person to get it right wins $50 Amazon gift card.
And while we're talking about that, there seems to be still some discussion from our viewers about trigeminal dysphoria. Perhaps, Dr. Fries, you could kind of go into the anatomy a little bit. How's it different from trigeminal neuralgia or any of the other trigeminals that we have?
Right.
So,
well, you know, when you think of the trigeminal nerve and its pathway that it takes and all of the things that it controls within the face, the eye muscles, and where its pathway, you know, in through the brain and into the neck, it deals a lot with sort of our ergonomics of the day. And a lot of us are on computers, we're on devices, and we're sort of at a hunching position, and our that is maybe just not the way the human body was meant to function. And we're doing things for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day in that position. And our vision, you know, the way the eyes work and our physical ergonomic position, the trigeminal nerve sort of controls a lot of those things, or is involved in that process. And I think that the symptoms, as far as headaches, back pain, neck pain, it leads through that trigeminal nerve. So people sort of understand that concept, and especially patients, when you explain it to them, you know, they get it. So, and that's sort of the, it's a much better way at explaining astinopia, I think. And it just incorporates a lot more of the body than just the eyes into that, you know, the head and neck area. So that's, I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but that's sort of how I go about it.
do neurologists refer to that same term, or is this some kind of a marketing term that you guys came up with?
Yeah, you know,
as far as the trigeminal dysphoria, I mean, is it, if somebody Googled trigeminal dysphoria, are they just going to be seeing the Neurolens information, or is there an entity called trigeminal dysphoria?
So yeah, we worked with our neurology group, specifically Dr. Nelson, in understanding the mechanism of action, understanding why is it that when your eyes are misaligned, why do I get a neck pain? And so it actually was coined from neurologists to us. And we thought it, as Dr. Fries said, it's a lot easier to talk about, trigeminal dysphoria rather than asthenopia, which is just eye strain, or even computer vision syndrome or digital vision syndrome, because that doesn't explain why people in the 1840s were getting these same symptoms while they were doing embroidery work. It really is, this is a term that's used to help people better understand how these pains and symptoms are related to the eyes.
Okay, so I want to do some Q&A here, because that's why we're here. We're here to answer questions and have transparency, and I appreciate you guys not scripting this. This is really fun. So we're going to do this rapid fire. Aric and Dr. Fries, kind of Shark Tank again. So right, Elaine in Canada wants to know if you can do specialty tints.
The one he wants to know, because he's in Canada, he wants to know about the ones from Cerium in the UK. I don't know if you're familiar with their technology.
Yeah, we do provide some tinting, but we don't have specialty tints.
Okay, next one. Is there a minimum age for this lens? This is from Carrie Wilson. She works for corporate Walmart Optical. She's a big shot there. Shout out to Carrie.
Dr. Freeze?
Yeah, there's been no minimum that I'm aware of. As long as the patient can sit in the device and get a measurement and can answer the questions about their symptoms, I'm happy to put them in a lens if it's going to make sense.
Oh, interesting. Yes, Tina Lottie says, how much time does the testing take in the office? So perhaps you can go through the office flow. I know we're always thinking, are we going to do too much pre-testing? And the patient then says, I got to leave now. So perhaps you can go through ideal flow and how much it takes, how much time it takes. There's a question about, can a tech do it?
Yep.
So
yeah, so we have, the patient fills out the questionnaire when they come in for their exam, and literally the questionnaire is very simple, and it takes, less than a minute, really, maybe two while they're in the waiting room. And then when my technician is running them through our pre-testing equation there, that our formula, so that she'll basically, if they've scored high enough on the questionnaire, and then Neurolens is, the company will go through you sort of the protocol that you should use, and they will, if they score high enough on the questionnaire with symptoms, they get the device as part of their pre-testing protocol. The device itself takes, maybe three minutes or so, I would say. And then it prints out a report, and they come into the exam room. So, not every patient is getting it. So it definitely doesn't, change the day by, all those patients by 3 extra minutes. I would say, like Aric says, about 50% of our patients are probably symptomatic and are getting that extra test. But it really has not slowed me down one bit in the exam room. And our pre-test, our technicians love running the device. And it hasn't slowed them down at all either, because they've bought into the technology. They've seen the life-changing effects that it's had on people. So they're very enthusiastic about it as well. And that's really been a big plus for us.
Great. Just want to let everyone know the gift card winner. We'll announce that tomorrow. We'll direct message you. So we just gave away a $50 Amazon gift card. We're going to be giving another one away. And just to give everyone a little outline here, we're going to be talking about the business model behind Neurolenses, because yes, you will make money. This is not a charity thing. It's a good thing to do for your patients.
we want to welcome also Daniel Bentz and Dr. Alan Panzer. So doctors, do you have any questions here for our experts?
Yeah, type away, doctors only for the next minute here. Ask us a question. We're going to.
It's like a roller skating rink here.
I know.
Okay.
I think Aric went into limbo with that arm. Is the arm caused from wearing the Neurolenses, or what happened there?
It's actually a bike accident, and I had surgery less than a week ago to repair a fully torn pectoral muscle, fully torn bicep, and fully torn rotator cuff. So I got a whole new shoulder here on me.
So lesson learned, don't go biking.
That's one lesson maybe.
Okay, so I don't know if we're ready to talk about the pricing of the machines or the instrumentation here, but there's been a number of questions over the time. They want to looks like they're ready to buy, and they're giving you a buying signal.
So let's go through the lens manufacturing and that whole model.
Yeah, the lenses, how much it costs, the instrumentation.
Okay, yeah.
So
yes, so you need the because the Neurolens system's an entire system, right? We sell basically a whole protocol on how to treat patients, including the system and the lenses. The system itself is $29,900. And then the lenses to the practice, it's $300 for the single vision. Is it $350 for office, or $375 for office, and $400? That's to the practice. To the patient, it's $650, and then $800 and $850 to the patient for the lenses. And so your average margin per pair of lenses is about $400 per pair of lenses.
now opticians are asking here, because we have quite an optician following. They can do this testing, right? You don't have to be an optometrist, do you?
You can do the testing. I don't know how it works in terms of prescribing lenses and things like that, but the test typically is done by the technician, and it gives the eye doctor the information they need to prescribe.
What about an independent optician though? Can they take Dr. Freeze's just regular prescription and say, you know what, I'm going to add this component in there because I've got special testing, and
Yeah, so I can kind of, I assume I would recommend that whoever those people are, that they contact their state board, because the state board is going to have regulations on prescriptive authority. I mean, I know here in Ohio that opticians would not be allowed to alter a prescription, and adding prism to an alter, even if it's a Neurolens prism, adding that to a prescription would be illegal in Ohio. It has to come in a prescriptive fashion. So, that's going to be a state by state basis. But yeah.
So they're discriminating against opticians on this part of it.
Yeah. So Dr. Freeze, I want you to tell us, I know getting staff buy-in is one of the most important things when you're introducing any new piece of technology into an office. So walk us through, how did you get your opticians on board? Because in the end, the opticians become salespeople. Yep. Sales is not necessarily a bad word. It's just getting people what they need. And educating them. So how'd you do it? You're the man. So walk us through it.
Yeah, I tell you, well, we've built quite a great office culture, in our practice. And I think it's really, that's super important in a successful business, is to, create a culture that is all about, number one, serving the patient. And that's what we've done in our practice. And whenever we're going to bring in new technology, I always want to get the staff on board, and I want to have them buy in. So I sort of make them a part of the process from the beginning. When I get an idea of something that I want to bring in, I always talk to the staff that's going to be most involved in that. And I say, hey, take a look at this. What do you think? This is why I like it. And then I sort of make it as an office. We buy into it together. Our staff realizes that if this is something that's going to help patients, we're going to do it. And the fact that it is a profitability, it brings profit to our practice. Obviously that's very important as well. I'm not going to do something for free, but the staff has just been able to, they buy in if they know that I'm passionate about it and they know it's going to help our patients. They're motivated. So it's just been that way from.
So I know you get the question, and it's not covered by managed care, right? So how do you address that concern?
It's been way easier than I even imagined in the beginning, for a couple reasons. Number one, Neurolens as a company has been hands down the best company I've ever worked with as an optometrist, as far as implementation, advice, consultations with us, just helping us be successful with the product, not just selling it to us, dropping it off, and then we don't hear from them again. Couldn't be further from the truth with this company. So that has been, number one, amazing. Number two, with patients, a lot of times these patients have suffered for years, and they've tried everything from regular, from glasses to glasses with regular prism to contacts, and they're still symptomatic. So when they find out that there's something that's going to help them, they'll spend anything to make that happen. And, and there's also an option now with Neurolens that they have some financing options that they can offer with a third party that has been also been very beneficial for patients that balk at price. But to be honest, we have very few people that actually balk at the price. And I think that, the staff does a great job at just telling them how much it's going to improve them. And there's also a satisfaction guarantee that the company offers. So
tell us about that. Elaborate on the guarantee. We've had a few questions about that here.
Yes.
So, I'll speak for mine, and Aric, if I'm wrong or you need to chime in, go ahead. But it's 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if the patient gets the lenses, number one, doesn't notice an improvement in their symptoms, or if for some godly reason it makes something worse, they will be refunded their money to 100%, no questions asked. To this date, we've had the equipment almost 6 months. We haven't had one patient do that yet. So I'm knocking on wood right now, but
so it's 100% refund to the patient then.
Into the practice.
Yes, we back the eye doctor 100%. So whatever your policy is, we'll back you up. If a patient comes back 2 years later and says, these lenses you sold me when I saw you 2 years later were complete garbage, you have to take them back. And you as an eye doctor think that that's the best course of action, we'll back you up and we'll refund you for that.
Okay. Well, that sounds really fair. Nick Siskos wants to know, are there any integrations with this equipment, let's say into practice management systems or anything like that?
Right. Yeah. Right now, we don't have an API to go into any particular practice management system, nor does it push stuff to us. We have right now it's our own ordering portal. As he said, as you know, we're a relatively new company, and it's one of the things on the R&D roadmap to start to look at better integrating.
Okay, so Aric, let's get into the actual lenses. Where are they made? How are they made? Do I have to buy them from you? You know, can I
How
get
do we verify them in our offices to know that they're made correctly?
materials, coatings, tints, polarization? Let's break it
You're
down.
opticians, this is your stuff. So
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, all the lenses are ordered through us. So the nice part about that is that your patient who came to you and you identified their problem and you figured out how to solve it, they're going to get the lenses through your practice, and you'll do that by ordering from us. There's no going on as any optical. There's no going across the street to somebody else. You're the doctor. You've helped them help solve their problem. So all of it's ordered through our lab and our ordering portal. It comes standard with a 2-year scratch resistant warranty on the AR coating. They all have standard with a blue imbibe material. As I mentioned, it has a great blue blocker on it. It's comparable in the blocking to a blue tech, but without that champagne kind of coloring. So it's
Right.
we call it NeuroClear. We do have for an additional charge, we can do the edging here. We do all the inspecting of the lenses here when they get here. There's nothing really unique about inspecting our lenses.
Where are they made? What?
it's made Tokai in Japan, or
So yeah, we do have our partner lab.
to-
We have a partner lab in Japan. It's Tokai Optical is making the lenses, but it's with our proprietary lens technology integrated into it. So they are. You couldn't order our lenses through Tokai. You still have to order our lenses through us.
Okay. People want to know, Mark Robinson wants to know what type of AR is it, or can you compare it to a current product on the market?
I mean, the closest thing, well, so we've compared the AR coating to the I did Bayer, scratch resistance to the Essilor Crizal and the VSP standard scratch coating. And it was comparable to the VSP and much better than the Essilor. I don't know how it's compared. The AR reflectivity of all of them are about the same. So the AR characteristic is about the same. We stood out on the scratch resistance as top of the market.
So if we put this lens on a Visionics, a lensometer, and we wanted to look at the contour plot, would that change the contour plot of the progressive lens? Or how does it,
So you would
how
see
do the patients adapt to this, versus kind of like a regular progressive?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you would see it look similar to a standard progressive, that it has a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder design, what we have. And that's because there's a little more going on in the lens, because we have that transition of the prism throughout the corridor as well. But in general, I'll tell you, I've wore almost every progressive lens out there because it's what I do. The office lens is the only lens I can wear where I forget I have it on. I can go to my car and I forget I have it on. It's a comfortable lens. I find it comparable to most of the other premium lenses out there in terms of the progressive aspect of it. But in terms of comfort, I can't wear a plus without getting headaches. Whereas with the Neurolens, I can wear a plus without getting headaches.
So can we order it? Say I want a distance prioritization or intermediate or near, other than the office lens.
So no, we just have that
one style.
Yeah, I mean, we have one style. I mean, if you want to play around with your seg heights and things like that as an optician, you might be able to do some things there. But
okay. How about materials? Can we drill into it? Can we groove it? Can we make it thin for the high myopes and hyperopes?
Yeah. So it comes. All of our lenses come standard with 160 high index. You can also, for an upcharge, get 167 if you want a little bit thinner lens. We can do basically any frame type, and you can do drill mount. The thing I would caution against is that we do see a correlation between lens size and symptom relief. So the larger the lens, the better the relief is. So we typically encourage patients to choose a larger lens rather than a super narrow lens. Similar to any progressive, you get these narrow lenses and there's just too much going on in too small a space.
And what's the time frame to get this to your office, Dr. Fries, from start to finish?
Yeah, so we do we do a lot of in-office edging. So we have, we do have an edger in our office. So we'll order the uncuts, and we get those, usually within a few days, less than a week. And if we ordered a finished product, it's maybe a day or two longer than that. So it's all actually very, very quick and very comparable to, most of the other labs that we're using now, and a lot of times even quicker. And I did want to mention too that it does come in a photochromic option as well. I don't know
Oh,
if
it
we
does.
touch that
That's
as
good.
well. And Aric, if I'm also, you can do it is a polarized option available in sunglasses?
No, we don't have polarized
I
option.
couldn't remember. Yeah.
So there's someone that wants to know, and really about, this is for Darlene Tamciello, wants to know about changes in prescription. They wear them for a few weeks, then you got to change the RX. Are you covered on remakes for that? Or
I think it's 90. Is Nicole? It's 90 days. I think 90. We have 90 days in one remake
for RX change?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So we have a question. We're going to give away a gift card here shortly. We do have a question. I want you to ask more questions here. We're going to play Stump Aric. So his arm might hurt, but his head is still clear. Trust me.
Great. Yeah.
So if you want to stump Aric, now's your time.
That's why he really does this one hand behind his back.
Right.
You should see him fully functional on a good day.
I dominate this game.
Or you can stump Dr. Freeze.
Yeah.
So go ahead, ask those questions.
I can't answer in sign language. That's all. That's my limitation.
We just want you to answer it in Mandarin. So
Okay.
All right. So Scott has a question. How are you getting 50% of patients to benefit from this lens when traditional
binocular vision.
binocular vision testing would not concur with this claim for decades?
Well, actually,
Is that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So okay. So there's two pieces of data that I'll use for this. So the first piece of data is that based on symptomology, we know that 56% of patients are coming into your offices symptomatic. So that's one piece of data. The second piece of data is, even if you look at textbooks on ACAs, the average patient's ACA is about 3.5. Right. So we've always thought of that as normal. Well, if a patient's eyes on average are 63 millimeters apart, an ideal ACA would be 6.3. So these patients' eyes aren't turning in enough. And then they work at close and they get symptomatic. And this is actually something that has been documented in the 1840s when they were documenting embroiderers with a high rate of asthenopia from doing near work. So I think that it's not as much that traditional optometry wouldn't identify these patients. It's that traditional thinking, like the Sheard's criterion or Percival's rule, wouldn't have identified these patients as having an anomaly. But as diagnostics improve and as our understanding of mechanism of action improve, we're able to identify more people that we can help.
So I'm going to ask, nobody's asked a question about the studies, but I did read the ICO study from my alma mater. Wow. That was done, 2007 at Illinois College of Optometry, published in the Academy Journal, which is prestigious, in 2009. And that's where I think the main study was not really about this lens, because I don't think it was available yet, but really about the needs for patients with convergence insufficiency and how happy they are with a little bit of base in prism. So Dr. Freeze, maybe you could touch on the studies, or Aric.
Actually, Dr. Brill, that's great. So that actually study that you referenced, that was using Neurolenses. So that was a Neurolens.
Oh, okay.
Well,
it wasn't identified at that time.
Yeah, Titanbaum was.
It's not available. It was not available at that time.
It wasn't available, right? So Titanbaum was the lead investigator, and then Joe Kroll, who is the inventor's brother, was the sub-investigator on that. And they were using Sheard's criterion primarily to treat patients with CI. So you're right. There's a narrow group. It was with Neurolenses. I can tell you, of all the studies, there's a ton of studies that support eye misalignment in association with symptoms. I can send you the list, or I can provide that to the group.
Okay, that'd be good. We could
really the most telling thing for us is that our commercial data, we follow up with every patient, and we're seeing 90% positive response to treatment with these lenses, which is phenomenal.
What do you mean you follow up? Does that mean you call them after they receive the lenses?
They basically receive that same symptom index that identified them as candidates coming in. they receive that 60 days after they receive the lenses. Because as we said, we're an outcomes company. We didn't sell them a pair of lenses. We sold them an outcome. If a patient got a bad outcome, we'll notify the doctor that, hey, this patient hasn't responded well to treatment. You might want to follow up with them. So I can say, with certainty that patients are responding positively to the treatment. I can say with certainty that study after study has shown that eye misalignment contributes to symptom relief. What's really unique about what we do is we're able to provide alignment correction at both distance and at near. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of studies that have been done throughout history that support the notion of eye misalignment being associated with symptoms.
So we're going to give a gift card here pretty soon, but I know a lot of people may not remember the Sheard's criterion. So if I recall, you should have like double the fusional reserves for the amount of exophoria you have. So let's say if you have a 10 exo, you need 20 diopters of fusional reserves. Is that about right?
Yeah, you absolutely win the day with that one. But the challenge is that there's a lot of patients that are symptomatic that wouldn't meet, that Sheard would say you don't prescribe prism for. And what we've found is that those patients, a small amount of prism provides a great amount of relief for them.
Yeah, and so those people were not obviously using computers back in Sheard's days or Percival's days, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So let's give some money away.
Let's do it. Aric,
you got a question?
You got a
Aric?
question?
Okay, I got another question. So this is an easy one. So it's yes or no question, and people are probably already typing yes or no in there. Can you prescribe Neurolenses without the measurement device? So that's the question.
First one to it. Hurry. Hurry.
That's what you could probably tell, Perry.
All right. We have the great Barry Santini from Long Island on here. And I can't let this night go without Barry asking a question, a very technical question. So Barry, wherever you are, come out from hiding and ask us a question.
And Dr. Panzer,
I don't
see you. I think you had one of these, or maybe you're having one of these. So perhaps you can ask. We need some contributions from Houston.
Barry and Allen, Earth to Barry and Allen.
Okay.
So as we get some of these, I'm sure we got a winner quick here. We're gonna wrap it up here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And I think you guys have an extreme value proposition within the market. We were former Eyes-On users back in the day, and it was kind of a similar program, right?
Well, it was for higher order aberration. I still wish we had an entry into that. Dr. Freeze, did you use Eyes-Ons?
I did not personally, but I was at a practice when I was a student, and they were using them and they loved them. And yeah, I know they were pretty upset when that happened. So
that'd be good if you can add higher order aberration correction on there. So you get any people faking to get these lenses? Like, man, I'm gonna fake it to try to see if it can like fake out the machine. Some people do it on visual fields. You get a cloverleaf field or something. Or anybody come in from the news media to kind of do a negative report and saying I didn't even have a problem, and they created a problem. So any of those issues at all?
I think if a patient really tried to beat the machine without knowing how the machine was measuring them, they'd probably get what we would list as a low measurement quality, and it just wouldn't give a recommendation for the lens. It'd be pretty hard. I could beat it, but I designed the equipment, so I don't know if somebody off the street could.
Yeah, we definitely have not
run
into that. So, yeah, we have not run into that at our office, that's for sure. So,
all right. So this is, I'll say, your first or second. I'm not sure what iteration it is, but what do you got next? Because we want you to keep innovating.
Yeah.
And now we have higher expectations. So what's next on the plate? Can you?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're an outcomes company, and we think
Yes.
we get great outcomes now, but there's still a lot of discovery left to be done in the field of binocular vision. So we're working on right now just using things like artificial intelligence to better identify what patients can be helped and how to better prescribe to them. So those are some of our early initiatives, as well as look at other tests that we can include in the machine to help better identify the physiology of a patient, to understand better why one patient might be helped, whereas another won't. I mean, we are absolutely passionate about helping people and providing good outcomes. And we're not going to stop innovating until we can help everybody who's suffering.
Can you get us a contact lens with some base in prism?
Hey, we do have patents in the contact lens space as well. We haven't put any effort into actually developing that yet, but we do have patents filed for that.
So we can look those up, I bet.
You probably could. It might be, can't remember if they're awarded or just applications at this point, but they definitely find a pretty extensive patent portfolio on device, lenses, and contacts as well.
Great. And you let me make sure you're not owned by anywhere by Essilor.
No, we're not.
Right? Not owned by VSP. No other big player. You are still an independent company.
It's completely independent. We are funded through first angel investors, and then some venture capital money has come in as well. And we've got a great board of directors and great investors, and they're all passionate about outcomes just like we are.
And when Essilor says I'll pay you 4 times what you're worth, you're going to say, hell no.
I don't make those decisions.
There's a wiggle room.
Okay, Anith Palal, your friend.
Yes, Anith we got someone from Texas there.
He's got a question. So what's that say?
All right, it says, how does symptom relief compare to VT therapy, since this seems to address BV issues? So, I think Anith came in a little bit late, but maybe looks like there's probably more people that have that question.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done a head-to-head with VT. We know VT does help a lot of patients, and we know we help a lot of patients. We also know a lot of people, especially adults, are not compliant with VT. So we basically are a tool in the tool belt for people treating binocular issues, and VT would be another tool.
So when you're testing these, have you had, for lack of a better word, blinded studies? Somebody says, okay, I've got a pair, it's just a regular progressive. I've got a pair with progressive with base in prism overall, or I got a pair of Neurolenses.
Yeah,
I mean,
we call them masked.
If no one knew, if you had a double mask, the subject didn't know, the tester didn't know. I mean, I think optometrists and opticians would like to say, wow, we've done this, it's repeatable, and they're definitely choosing the Neurolenses. So have you guys got that data, whether it's internal data or published?
We have internal data showing 30% more relief with our lenses than the next premium lens. We had 93% positive response to treatment with our group. And so
how about with just overall base in, just a little bit, like 2 prism diopters base in?
That was not, it's hard in this industry to identify what is a placebo. I think in drug companies, they never have to test aspirin versus Advil, right? They test aspirin versus a sugar pill. And we don't have sugar pills in lenses, so we are always testing against whatever the next premium treatment is. And so we were using a premium, I won't say the name, a premium progressive lens as with high index and blue blocker and all the premium things on it in our studies.
How about ones with just a little bit of base in prism, same progressive style?
So, it's an interesting
with some base
thing.
in prism overall.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. How do you because the Neurolens system's a system, would I prescribe based on Sheard's criterion? I could say that of the 60 people that we ran through the study, only 2 of them would have qualified for prism based on traditional therapy, right? So
I see.
They would have not been even candidates for prism at all.
But it does test fixation disparity and the associated phoria, right?
It does.
That sounds like that's how you rely more on the associated phoria findings from fixation disparity.
It's actually a combination of your disassociated and associated phorias. So it's not one or the other. And I would say the disassociated portion of the test probably makes up more of the final value than the fixation disparity portion.
What's the most prism you could stick in there?
I would say we have very few that are more than 5. We've had patients as much as 15.
5 each eye. 5 each eye.
5 total, or 15 total split between the 2. But in general, most of our prescriptions are between say 2 base out and 3 base in.
Okay.
So it sounds like you guys have you have technical knowledge, you have the business knowledge. You don't just drop this machine off in a crate and in the office, right? You actually unload it and go through the right training and fly somebody out there, right?
Yeah, Dr. Freeze, maybe you can talk about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So we met with when we decided to implement the device. We actually met with the team from Neurolens and did a pre-implementation meeting at our office with the staff. So they sort of prepped the office, got everybody ready as to what was going to be happening. And then on delivery day, delivery came. They were very active in making sure delivery went very smoothly. And then the day after delivery, we had implementation training and had live training with the trainer and spent the afternoon with us. We built up about 20 patients that we wanted to test right away and had them there helping us with the device and the training. And then we've had follow-up calls about almost every week since then. With mainly my optician and the Neurolens people, and they've been more supportive than I could ever have imagined from a company, and they really are truly a partner with us in this. And like you said, they're an outcomes company, and it's very true. They want us to be successful. They want the patients to have relief. And I can't stress enough how it's, in 15 years of practice that I've been in, that there has not been any other company that has been truly, vested in our success and helping us implement a new technology and helping us work through any trials that we may come to while we're implementing it. So, my hat's off to them for that. And, I'm happy to speak with them on that because they've been so good to us and helping us implement it.
Well, it sounds like you had an excellent experience. There's already people asking, can I try the equipment? And then on the flip side, what if I try it and it just really doesn't work for me? Do you have a risk reversal for the practitioner too?
Yeah, we don't do trials per se, but we do have a satisfaction guarantee. So you use the equipment and say you prescribe, I can't remember what's the number of lenses. It's if you prescribe it, 40 lenses, is that what it is, over 6 months? So if you prescribe 40 lenses over 6 months, don't like the equipment, not seeing patients get relief, you can return it to us free of charge. If you do less than
40
that,
pairs.
yeah, you do
pairs.
less. You do less than that, and there'll be a $5,000 restocking fee. So if you figure, even if you do 13 lenses, you'll have made that $5,000 restocking fee back on it. So, but it's not, if you're thinking about it in those terms, it's maybe not the right thing for you. This is something that you need, you bring into your practice with a desire to help your patients, and you jump in full bore and you help your patients, and you're going to be happy. Your patients are going to be happy. It's going to help your practice grow, and it's going to be the best decision you ever made.
So what kind of terms are you offering there? Do you have 0% financing, or do you have, how do the doctors pay for this? So,
And state the price one more time for the people that
there were some
earlier.
people that were late. And I think you have some preferential pricing for other groups too.
Right. Yeah. So our pricing on the device is $29.9. In order to get that satisfaction guarantee, you need to work through funding well, because we are the ones backing the equipment for that, and their rate right now is $499. So it's $499 on that, and then the lenses are $300 for the single vision, $350 for the office, and $400 for the progressive. To the patient, that's $650, $750, and $800 for the lenses. Your average margin per lens is about $400 per lens. It's all it's all private pay, so that's money directly into your account. You're not negotiating with a third-party payer.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to gauge the interest. Who's excited about Neurolens, and who would, if you had the opportunity to try one and bring this into your practice, I want everybody to comment, I love Prism. If you're actually interested in the technology. If you're not interested, what should they type?
Well, I was going to ask, is it feasible for practices to share this? So for NIT's Houstonian colleagues there and Dr. Panzer, I mean, Could they say, look, I'll have it 1 week, you have it a week, or should you not move this thing around?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically the system did go through ship testing, but that's in our crating. So we don't encourage moving the equipment from practice to practice.
Yeah.
Now we do
sometimes they
have some
three
practice.
practices.
Yeah, we do have some practices that, maybe it's a site like Dr. Freeze that they have 3 practices, but they put the equipment in one of them and refer into that practice. So that's one model we've seen people try. Typically, when they do that, they'll end up ordering another system because it'll be going so well for them. But they're more than happy to try that.
So if they want to buy more than one, I bet you probably cut them a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I think I give
cheaper
a
by the dozen, or
5% discount if you buy the dozen, if you order by the dozen. I don't know. I'm making you're talking to the engineer, not a sales guy.
Hey, Aric or Dr. Freeze, there was a question earlier. In the traditional lab industry, we are used to buy one, get one half off. So how do you deal with multiple pair sales?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, good question. I know, so I'd have to check with my opticians right now. And Aric, you might not know the answer either. Again, being not as the engineer, but I believe over the summer we had a program where there was if they had bought a second pair of the sunglasses, maybe it was a sunglass pair, it was 50% off. So I know that they've run those specials for us in the past, but other than that, I don't. Aric, do you have any more info on that?
Yeah, again, I'm the engineer, but I do remember a sunglass special over the summer. I don't think we typically offer a multiple pair discount.
Okay. Yeah. How about, do you give staff free lenses at all? I know, like in our office, it's really important you bring a new frame line in. You got to get those frames on your staff because they're going to be your advocates.
Absolutely.
So what do you do there?
We look for that symptomatic patient, just like a Dr. Freeze's office that has a misalignment that we know we can treat, because as soon as you've solved, this isn't somebody looking nice for a season. This is solving somebody's symptoms that they've had for life, right? And you've got an advocate like you wouldn't believe. So absolutely, all staff members, can be fitted for the lenses.
Okay, I had a question. So, is this machine, is it going to be outdated because the software is just going to, go out of date? Are you constantly doing over-the-air updates for free?
All updates are over the air free. So we do 100% support with software updates, and it's all done remotely. As long as you're connected to the web, it's all done remotely. You'll get automatic updates.
Okay. So how about do you have to do any service agreements on the equipment to keep it up and running?
I'm not sure. I know 1 year for sure is included. I don't know beyond that.
Okay.
So
finally,
There's a question here from Christy.
And we have Alan. Okay. Alan finally made it on. Oh, Alan, where you been? Do you want to ask Alan about? He had a question about vertical here.
Also, if doctors want to be fitted with lenses and they're interested in it, they can go to a Neurolens provider, and we'll go ahead and take care of that for them. And if they're candidates, awesome. If they're symptomatic and they're candidates based on their measurements, then we will provide them Neurolenses as well.
Okay.
Okay. There's a question about how big is it? Is it bigger than a bread box or larger than a visual field instrument? You've got a picture to you could show us here. And there was another question about compound prism.
Somewhere between an autorefractor and a visual field machine. It will be one of the larger pieces of equipment in your office.
It will.
It's about a 25 by 24 footprint, and it's about some inches tall.
So compound prism, and how do you verify these lenses? Is there any technique to verify the lenses?
Right. So the measurement equipment provides vertical measurements. It doesn't provide any prescribing recommendation or anything like that. That's completely up to the practitioner. But they can definitely put a base up, base down component to the lenses when they order them, and that's ground in. You verify these lenses just like you would any other progressive, lens. So.
Okay, great.
Do you put prism thinning in any of these lenses too to make them look better?
We do not use prism thinning, and the most part, it makes a very small difference in the overall thickness. Everything is provided at high index. So you get the thinness just off the index of the lens.
Okay. I just want to let everyone know that there's a lot of comments here and some technical ones. And we will make sure to answer all these when we're off the air. Either we'll answer them or Neurolens will go back and make sure they get all your answers there. There's a lot of people asking for the studies. So we're going to make sure to direct message you those studies or reach out to your office. So don't worry.
Okay.
Nicole just posted her email in the comments there, nicole@neurolenses.com. And she'd be happy to field a lot of those questions. So let's wrap it up here. You know, what should we be excited about? And maybe Tim, Dr. Freeze, you can leave us with a pearl of wisdom, you know, why you're amped up about Neurolenses.
Sure. I'll give you a great example. So we had a patient, you know, it was like those feel good stories, right? So we had a patient who came in and her main complaint was motion sickness, and she was unable to ride in a car for more than about 5 miles. So she hadn't left our town where my practice is. She hadn't left the town for about 15 years, besides, you know, going to local errands. So she was a great candidate for the lens. And we prescribed her a base in Neurolens. She picked them up and she called us the next day. They were driving to Florida for their first vacation in 15 years. And she said it's the first time she's been in a car that she didn't get motion sick. And she was wearing those lenses and she was basically in tears. So, you know, and that's not the first time we've had patients cry from getting these lenses for changing their lives. And we actually got a comment back today that the folks at Neurolens actually sent us, that a patient emailed Neurolens directly and basically told them that the lenses had changed their lives and they were so happy. So, you know, I don't get that with any other lens. I don't get that with any other progressive lens. I don't get that with contact lenses. So just those feelings alone have made it more than worth it for us.
Okay, so Carrie Wilson asks, is this somewhat of a rotated progressive?
No. I mean, it's not a rotated progressive, and that we're not just decentering segs or anything like that to induce the prism. It's a digitally freeform design, and we've got basically parameters in there about the amount of prism and the location of the prism, similar to how you design a progressive lens.
So you're varying the thickness profile of the lens to get it in there.
Just verifying the geometry of the lens to create the desired effect.
So if a doctor or optician's really antsy to get this in their office, you know, what's the time frame to ship it and have an implementation program within the office?
Because a lot of people want to order these before the end of the year to take advantage of the tax savings.
I mean, we still do have some capacity for the end of the year. I'm in charge of the manufacturing group as well. But
They're made in US?
Yeah, it's made. I could walk to the manufacturing facility. It's less than a quarter mile from here. So yeah, we definitely can get this into your office by the end of the year. It's just mainly coordinating with our deployment people, because as Dr. Freeze mentioned, we don't just helicopter drop the machine into the site.
Oh.
We have people that are at your site for a few days, making sure you're trained and know how to treat patients and improve their lives.
Yeah.
And no drone delivery either, right?
No drone. Yeah, we haven't started the drone delivery yet.
It's on Prime. It's not on Prime.
Not on Amazon Prime. Can't get it there.
Okay. There was one question no one's asked yet. How about vertigo? Can this help patients with those symptoms and experiences?
I mean, I've seen it help patients with motion sickness for sure. You know, true vertigo, you know, I guess it depends on the root cause. You know, if it's an inner ear problem, you know, I'm not sure that may be, I'm not sure, you know, basically there. Eric, I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, true vertigo can be crystals in the inner ear, and obviously that's not going to help that. You know, but if you know, these patients that might, you know, dizziness is a symptom that can result from eye misalignment. Similar to a dry eye sensation can also result from that, even if they don't have clinical dry eye. So like, it's a similar parallel. If they don't have clinical dry eye, but are complaining of dry eye symptoms, they're probably, you check their eye misalignment because it might be causing it. Similar to a vertigo patient, if they don't have issues with crystals in their ears, but they're dizzy all the time, then this could be a solution that could help them.
You guys want to make any final statements? We started late, but we've gone over time. So just to give you a little extra bonus there. But any final statements, and what would you like the public to know before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I'm going to echo what Dr. Freeze was talking about the crying patients. I mean, my favorite day of the week is Monday. We come in and we go through what we call the criers, because every week we're getting those patients that they're saying, you changed my life. And that's what gets me excited about coming to work every day. I mean, it does help practices grow. I'm not going to lie, but what excites me is about how many people it's helping.
And they're not crying about the bill or anything.
No, not about that.
Okay.
To be honest, we've actually had those patients who have cried, and then the next week we get their all of their kids and their sister and their brother-in-law all coming in to try to get them as well. So it's been a huge referral source from patients who are basically, they become huge advocates for our practice and champions for us. So that's been great.
Great. And if people want to get in contact with you, how do they do that? Do they need to go to the website? Do they need to go to the next conference? What should they do?
I mean, go to the website and hit us up. I mean, or email Nicole. But yeah, get in touch with us and we'll figure out how to make it happen.
Okay. And those gift cards, we'll make sure to notify everyone. And Dr. Burrell's got the final words here.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you again for our listeners and viewers for hanging in there with the technical difficulty. I sent Mark Zuckerberg a little bit of a note, but hopefully he will not punish me personally. So this wraps up our Facebook Live event with Neurolens. And I think this will still be available. We will turn it into a podcast so you can see it in the future. And if anyone has any questions for the fine people at Neurolens, just reach out to them. And if you want to buy one, I'm sure they'll be happy to sell one to you. First come, first serve.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks so much, you guys. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Have a great night. This brings us to the end of another episode of Entrepreneur, the podcast for Wizards of Eyes. Go ahead and click over to our website, entrepreneur.com, or head over to Facebook to join our special Facebook group, Entrepreneur. See you there.